Hello and welcome to another Puck Junk podcast. Sal Berry here, along with Tim Parish, aka the Real DFG on Twitter. And today we are going to talk about round two of the playoffs, Upper Deck's bounty program, and Goon 2 finally getting a release in the United States. So I think we should start with our conversation about hockey since the round two just wrapped up and round three is about to start. So, Tim, you got to be pretty happy about the way that Penn's Cap series, Pen Caps, as everyone's calling it, unfolded, or maybe not so happy. How you feeling about that as numero uno Penguin fan in whatever state you're in?
Indiana. Yeah. Not that
Indiana.
far away from where you are.
Oh, okay, yeah. This is a Chicago suburb, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, so as the biggest Penguins
But
fan in Indiana.
I'm now on heart medication
Because of
and
it going at 7 games.
be, because of that series.
Mm-hmm.
And my doctor thinks I may not have more than 6 months. No, I'm just kidding. But that was a very, 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 very stressful series. I mean, it was. It seriously was. Every time you thought the Penguins had it wrapped up,
Mm-hmm.
it's just something happened. I mean, you had the big controversy with the Crosby hit from Ovechkin and then Niskanen double teaming him and him going down, and all of a sudden he comes back. He misses one game, but then and it's like, well, did the NHL bumble another issue of concussions and head injuries and this, that, and the other thing? And the controversy and everything aside, it was a very exciting series to watch. Obviously, as a fan, I love how the outcome ended. I feel really, I didn't think I would feel this way, but I feel for Caps fans.
You
I
feel
really do.
bad for the Caps fans,
The
and why?
fan base. I feel bad for the fan base
And why is that?
because they just got dumped on. I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing to go and not, not win the big show, not
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
perform,
Mm-hmm.
but at least be a contender.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years in a row, your team wins the President's Trophy. They're the best team in hockey for the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
They have the best record of any team in hockey, and you get beat by the same team twice in the second round. And you haven't made it out of the second round. You haven't made it out. Not only have you not made it out of the second round, you haven't made it out of the second round during the tenure of your superstar player.
Right.
And you keep you keep putting this team and this product out on the ice, and you keep making moves and bringing guys in. They brought in TJ Oshie. They brought in Justin Williams. This year, they extremely, now that you have hindsight and you can look back on it, they extremely overpaid for Kevin Shattenkirk.
Mm-hmm.
You put all these pieces in together for a team that is basically designed to win now. It's like win now or else, and they didn't. And as a hockey fan and as a fan of a team, to have to go through something like that and to have to deal with that year in and year out with those expectations as high as they are, and for them to fall flat like that. I mean, it's one thing to go and say, hey, we were playing with house money. We had a great season. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good luck. Congratulations to the other team. That's not what happened here.
No.
That is not what happened here.
No.
I mean, look at how many hockey analysts and reporters had the finals as Chicago versus Washington. A lot.
And that would have been awesome if that had happened, but it didn't, and that's unfortunate.
But not only, right, and on the Western side, that was over. That side of it was over a long time ago, and now on the Eastern side, Washington's in the same spot they were in last year, and Ovechkin probably had his bag to head over to the Worlds that morning
Hmm.
because I mean, I was worried going into that game seven, but I'll tell you what, the way the Pens played in game six, and then the way they came out in game seven, I was scared
Yeah, yeah.
because they started to look the same.
I'm surprised the Caps didn't get once on the board because it seems to be like Capitals fashion for them to have scored a goal with 3 minutes to go and then lose 2-1. You know what I mean? Like I felt like the Capitals, like the fact that they couldn't get one goal in that last game. Because I mean, think about it. I mean, that would just be how it would be, right? Like the Capitals would score a goal, and then there'd be a minute 30 left, and it would be the longest minute 30 of yours and every Penguins fan life as the Pens just clutch and cling to a lead. But no, they had. I mean, two goal 2-0. I mean, with the Marc Andre Fleury with the shutout. I mean, that's awesome. And championship teams have, I mean, look, we don't have the Montreal Canadiens anymore, where I don't know if any team has ever gone 16-0. I doubt it, but I'm sure Montreal probably came pretty darn close in the 70s. Um, and you don't have that anymore. It seems like every time you have a championship team, they always have one series where they're really put up against the wall, and then they have to overcome a giant obstacle. Now, I mean, the Penguins had the lead and the Capitals came back in the series, but still, they they almost let the series get away from them. So, hey, congratulations to the Penguins. I think it would be fun to see them repeat as champions. Um, as somebody who, if the Penguins win or they don't win, I'll sleep either way. But it'd be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool. I think that would be kind of nice, because we don't really have those dynasties anymore.
It's true, and I'd love to see it. Like I said, as a Pens fan, born and raised Pens fan, they'd be fantastic. To
Now,
back series with them in my lifetime, and it'd be awesome to see another one. And I think honestly, I I'm not one of the guys that's out there saying that it's going to be a piece of cake against Ottawa because I don't agree. I don't think it will be a piece of cake against Ottawa. I think it's going to be a tough series. I'd love to see it end quickly, but I don't foresee that happening just because of the style of play that Ottawa puts out there. That trap game, that defensive minded game that doesn't play well for the speed game that the Penguins have. So
mm-hmm,
they're going to have to figure out how to overcome that. I mean, yeah, they played in the regular season, but this is a new season. They're going to have to overcome that and figure out and how to solve that really quickly. Otherwise, this could possibly get stretched out to 7 games too. And then in the West, I mean, I don't know. That one's up. That's a coin flip to me. Nashville versus the Ducks.
mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the way Nashville has handled the two series that they've played. It it looks like no one can stop them.
Mm-hmm.
But I
That
mean, the
PK
Ducks.
Subban trade is looking really good right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Heck yeah, it is. I mean, his $2,000 fine aside, I mean, he's he's stepped big time,
Well, two
and
thousand
that
dollars
whole
and
entire team. I mean,
and all the distractions from him dancing.
yeah, well, it's going to be an interesting series to see how that actually plays out. But I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see it. But back to my original point, like I said, really hate to be a Caps fan right now.
Yeah.
I I just really would. And here's the thing, not to beat a dead horse, but like I said, that team was built to win now. If you look at their roster, that roster is going to get blown up.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, of
You look at
course.
who's on there. Shattenkirk was a rental player. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
his cap hit is like 4.2, like 4.2, 4.2 and a half, something like that. He's gone. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Oshie, he's making over 4 million. He's going to get paid somewhere. I mean, he played his cards right. You know, the contract towards the end, he had an outstanding year. people are going to look at him and he's going to get paid. He'll probably get 5-6 million somewhere. I don't see the capital next year. Justin Williams, 3.5 million, gone. Carl Alsner, probably gone. Winnick, Gilbert, Brett Connolly, those guys. I mean, they're not going to be on that roster anymore. So you blow these guys up, and you're left with having to sign, some of your RFAs. There's a lot of money tied up in those unrestricted free agents that are on that team. So I don't know. I'm not the guy that's going to say, oh, you got to trade Ovechkin because he's a liability and all that. I'm not jumping down that street, but I don't know.
Well, you can't trade Ovechkin.
It's one of those things where somebody's going to have to
ridiculous.
come in. You can't, but you could.
Well, I guess if you could trade Gretzky, you could trade anybody, but I don't know. But
exactly my point.
So let me ask you this. This is the important thing that I need to know. So this Penguins versus Senators series, are we going to call it the Penators series or the Senguins series? Because we have Pens and Sens.
I'll leave that one to the wordsmiths of the world because I have no idea.
Unfortunately, Predators and Ducks doesn't really lend itself that well. But now if the Predators met the Penguins in the finals, we have the Penadors or the Predwins. You can tell I've been thinking about this for some time.
Yeah, I was going to say, those thoughts never crossed my mind.
Nor should
it's
they.
It's like melding the two celebrities together when they're,
Brangelina, right.
Something like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's the Spens. How about that?
The Spens.
The Senators and the Pens. The Spens. There you get a little bit of both.
The Spengators.
The Spenators.
No. I don't know, but that's I mean, it's funny too because you remember like a year ago at this time, the Senators owner had that press conference and he's like, we need to be better. We got to make the playoffs. And then they fired the GM and the coach. And then and now here they are a year later in the conference finals. I mean, way to turn it around in a year.
You see that all across the NHL, though. I mean, look at the Penguins last year. They fired their coach mid-season. New coach comes in. They win the Stanley Cup. It's mind-boggling how a change like that can totally flip a team around.
Well, it didn't flip the Panthers around.
Wow. They also didn't put a coach into the coaching position either, but that's a story we've already discussed.
If Bob Pulford could be the Blackhawks coach and general manager for what felt like a lifetime for us Blackhawks fans, I'm sure anybody can be a coach and general manager, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Nah, too hard. Two very difficult jobs. And I never liked them being the same guy. It's like, I like my separation of church and state, as I used to say. Like, when Mike Keenan was the Hawks coach and general manager, if he didn't like a player, he'd bench him, then he'd trade him. That's why the Hawks had so many darn trades in, like, not to go into ancient history, but, like, during Keenan's tenure. I mean, he just basically, like, if he just got tired of a player, they were gone. And I don't know, I think that almost makes it too easy for the coach, but it doesn't necessarily make a better team.
True. And, we're in a different, I guess,
we're in the analytics era now, so everything has to be...
We're in more of an analytics era, yes.
Everything has to be scrutinized to the, to how many eyebrows the player has.
And there's people in positions for that.
Yeah.
So, they have people hired to review that stuff and do everything else. I mean, look, coaches are hired to be fired. That's the old analogy. You hire a coach to be fired.
Right.
I mean, what's a coach's lifespan? 2 years?
I don't know. A couple
consider
years.
All the ones that get... Yeah, but you consider all the ones that get fired quick.
Babcock or Joel Quenneville, it's like 8 years, but yeah.
But those guys are at this level versus the guys that get hired and fired on a yearly basis.
Right.
So they offset each other. So I mean, it's probably 2-3 years the average lifespan of a coach. But then you got all the other positions too, like the fake position of director of hockey operations that I think is hilarious. President of hockey operations. You have your GM, you have your assistant GM. You have all these different guys that are all cogs in the wheel that have different decision making power as to how the team gets built. I mean, here's a prime example. I mean, not to change the subject, but prime example. Who did Buffalo just hire? Jason Botterill. Botterill's a new GM. If people don't know who Jason Botterill is, look him up. He's instrumental in creating the Penguin teams that have existed for the last almost 10 years.
Right.
Because he's the guy that's job was to make sure that the AHL team and the developmental programs were chalked and stocked with players that could play at the NHL level.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty much what he was responsible for. And he made his way up through the ranks. I think his last position there, he was assistant GM, I believe, was his title before he just took this job.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, congratulations to him. He deserves it. But when you look at what he's done, the Penguins over the last couple of years have been the most injury-prone team in all of the NHL. They've spent more hours away from the ice
Mm-hmm.
with guys that they've lost to injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And they win a cup last year. They're going to the conference finals this year with lineups that are filled with guys from Wilkes-Barre. I mean, these aren't household names. These aren't players that, are superstars. These aren't players that even really have trading cards. I mean, if they don't have trading cards,
They don't
then they're
exist.
probably not anybody that people know. So, but they can bring these guys up, plug them in a hole, and they play like, they play like they've been there the whole time.
Well, it's a good system when you have guys that can move up
And,
and they fit right in. I mean, that's a great system. That's great synergy between the parent club and the minor league club and the coaching staff and everyone in between.
and that's the kind of philosophy and background that Buffalo is getting with Botterill as a GM. So I think that was a great hire. I mean, I heard they were talking about hiring Bill Guerin, which I thought would have been good too.
Mm-hmm.
But Botterill's a great choice to be, to head up that team and get them back on the right track. And you never know, may take a year, may take two,
It's probably gonna
but
mean maybe a year to get into playoffs, but at least a few just to, like you said, if they're gonna follow that Penguins model of having players who can step in from the minors and fit right in, that takes a little time.
it does. But it's started somewhere. I mean, now that they have him ready for the draft and everything else, I did like your comment though when they hired him that you said asked if Jack knew or not.
Oh
So
yeah,
I thought that was kind of funny.
did Jack know? Did Jack approve? Yeah,
Yeah, did Jack approve that?
yeah.
I thought that
That's
was kind of funny.
well, yeah. It's kind of like that though when you have the big superstar player, and then you want to make sure that like he likes the coach and the GM, because if not, then it's just going to be problematic because then they're going to want to leave. Um, Getting back to the playoffs so really quick. So who would you like to see if the Penguins move on to the next round, to the finals? I don't want to call it the next round, like it's all just another round of hockey. Do you want to see them face off against the Ducks or the Predators? I would like a Penguins Predators series because I probably know the Predators a little bit better. Um, but the Ducks, I mean, then we'd have like the Battle of the Birds, and that would be pretty cool too.
Um, I don't like the matchup versus the Ducks. So if we're talking about the Penguins through on one end and the Western Conference, I don't like the matchup with the Ducks because the Ducks are thugs and they're big guys and they play very physical.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of saw a little bit of that with Washington. Washington took the physical track, and the Penguins don't play that kind of game.
Right.
I mean, they will if they have to, but they don't have the guys to get out there and mix it up like that.
Yeah, it's not their
So
style.
I'm not I don't necessarily like that matchup. It would be kind of cool to see Getzlaf Perry versus Malkin and Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that because
Mm-hmm.
you're talking same general time era when these guys came into the
Yeah.
league, and Getzlaf and Perry have a cup from early on in their career,
Mm-hmm.
and now later on. So that'd be kind of cool to see. But I'd like to play Nashville. I really would, just because I don't know Nashville watch, and I already have fun watching the Pens play. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be fun to watch two teams that are kind of exciting and play a similar, I guess, a similar style of game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nashville has a little better defensive game
Mm-hmm.
than the Penguins do, but I'd put Fleury up against Rene any day, especially the way he's been playing in these playoffs.
Well, you might get that. I mean, the way they've been playing, and I mean, just with their, with Roman Yossi and PK Subban and who am I forgetting? Uh, Ryan Ellis and then of course
Yeah,
Rene. Yeah, they've really good defensive team. I mean, it's funny too because like when I was playing Top Skate, those were like not Subban because he wasn't in the Series One packs, but like Ellis and Yossi were like guys that I was just constantly playing, and they would just get me like tons of points in the Top Skate fantasy games. And yeah, and I mean, obviously they're really good players. But then again, Carlson was another one that was just like uh, another great uh, player, or another player who had a great season both from the fantasy stats aspect and then like on the ice as well.
right.
So
The other thing too
yep,
is they also have a couple ex Penguins on their team too, which be interesting, like
Preds.
James Neal, for
Oh
instance,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and Harry Zolniachuk.
Oh, the great Harry Zolnichuk.
He,
Yeah.
he's he spent a couple minutes on the Pens too because he played for Wilkes-Barre and got called up a couple games. So
Oh, interesting. I think I got an autographed card of him somewhere, like from like a pack of. I want to say it was something like Contenders or something. Like it was one of
and yeah,
those Panini sets.
yeah, I
I
think I have a
think,
score autograph of him too.
or yeah, I'm
That
pretty sure it
was
was. Pretty sure it was something like that. Hey, speaking of hockey cards,
yeah,
so Upper Deck, they announced this new thing called the Upper Deck Bounty Program, which makes me think of bounty hunters. We don't need their kind, right? The great line from Empire Strikes Back when you got like Boba Fett and Bosk and all the cool bounty hunters from the Star Wars galaxy, like gonna track down Han Solo and stuff. Only this is a different kind of bounty. This is of course collecting cards. So
makes me think of paper towels
paper towel. Oh yeah, bounty. Right, the quicker picker upper. Yeah, I guess that
per
works.
deck.
Huh?
I said the quicker picker upper deck.
Quicker picker bounty. The quicker picker upper deck.
There you go. See, they could do a cross promotion.
Wow, you've been thinking of that one all day, haven't you? And this is where you say, "Nope,
The last 30 seconds came
I'm
up.
just that funny off the cuff." So to to
Yep, that's
to
right.
just get those of you who the four of you who are actually listening to this to up to speed.
Wow, we've doubled our listenership.
Hey, all right. So uh, the Upper Deck Bounty Program is this new program that they're doing. They have a website set up for it, upperdeckbounty.com. And so they said they're starting it with their SP Authentic set, their 2016-2017 SP Authentic set, which comes out in about a week. And so what's going to happen is that there's going to be a total of 4 hits per box. And they said at least 2 hits are autographs. And the other 2 hits are these cards, these Spectrum FX cards. So you're either going to get 2 autographs and 2 Spectrum FX cards, or you'll get 3 autographs and 1 Spectrum FX card. And so if you read, I know Beckett Hockey online, they had an article about this, and Upper Deck spokesperson was basically like, well, we're trying to bring more people like the way he phrased it, and please correct me because I know you read that too. But he was basically like saying, a lot of people are doing EPAC and not building sets and just grabbing the hits and that's it. And we want to get people back into set building. So the idea is if you collect all 99 of these Spectrum FX inserts that happen one or two per box. So keep track. How many boxes is that, kids? Then you can get the 100th card for free after you get the other 99. And then you can also get a 99 uh, card. I don't know if it's 99 or 100 cards, but it's a gold parallel version of the set for the first 50 people who complete this bounty. Does that sound about right to you? Like just what I said from your recollection?
Yeah, yeah. It's I think it's a 100 card gold set,
Okay.
like a parallel set edition, because you get all 99 of the regular cards gold, and then you also get the Austin Matthews number 100 gold card too. So it'd be all 100. But yeah, you're right. I mean, this came out of a lot of conversations with supposedly a lot of conversations with brick and mortar dealers about how they're being cut out of the hobby with e cards and all of that kind of stuff. And everybody was complaining and nobody had an answer. And Upper Deck spent basically the better course of the year trying to figure out a way that they could get people to, buy into some program that took the best of opening packs and utilizing something online.
It seems
And
kind
this is what
of
they came up with.
it seems kind of unnecessary to me. Like, actually, okay, let me backtrack because Upper Deck sees it as a necessary component to their business. So I'm not going to say it seems unnecessary. It doesn't seem like the right idea, and let me explain why. They said, okay, people are going on EPAC and they're buying cards and they're just buying the hits, dumping what they don't want, etc. There's no base cards. It's cutting out the dealers. So we need to do something to inspire people to buy cards from retail. Well, certain sets are not going to be sold on EPAC, and at the beginning of the season, Upper Deck announced these are the only sets we're selling on EPAC. Now, I don't know if they stuck to that because I'm pretty sure that they didn't announce that 16-17 AHL was going to be on EPAC, but guess what? It's on EPAC. And I would have thought that would have been weird. And there wasn't even an announcement for that from what I recollect. All I know is that one day I look at my phone and I'm like, huh, the AHL cards are on EPAC. Because sure, why not? Because I mean it's a pretty cheap product, but that's off topic here. But I don't see how making all right, a set like SP Authentic, how many rookies do you get in a box on average?
In a box,
Yeah, let's just pick a number. What do you think it's around?
if we're talking regular SPA, in the normal hit count that's in there, you probably get, I would say, two serial numbered rookies, one that's autographed, possibly two.
Okay, exactly. So you
So
get
at most, you get two base rookies and then two autograph ones.
okay, but
That would be at most in one box.
a lot of these sets you would say have between 1 and 4 rookie cards per box, like the higher stuff, like the SPA, XPX, SPGU, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, depending on what we're looking at. I mean, sometimes more, sometimes a little less. So
Why
yeah,
would you do a whole other set where you only get 1 or 2 of these cards per box? Why not just say, hey, collect all 100 rookie cards in SP Authentic and you can get the bonus card and the gold set? Why would they create an even entirely different set? That's what I'm not understanding. Like the thing is that like guys like you and me, we might buy a box or two of SP Authentic, hope that we get some cards that we want, maybe complete the base set, but we never realistically think about finishing the master set. right? And what I'm saying is, instead of doing this insert set that's 99 cards, why don't they say, hey guys, finish a master set of SP Authentic? We know it seems like an impossible task, but do it, and here's what you get. That would inspire people to buy boxes of cards. For me to go, oh, well, let's see, if I get 2 of these Spectrum FX cards per box, I'm going to need to buy 50 to 75 boxes to hope.
More than that.
Well, if you get 2 per box, that's 50, assuming no doubles. But if you get 1 per box, then maybe 100, assuming,
You're
again.
forget you're you're forgetting the other element to the chase here.
Uh-huh.
These aren't just randomly inserted 1 through 99. These are tiered. So the first 40 cards are the normal ones that you would get. The next 30 are like level 1 rookies. Like the next I don't know, what is it, like 20
Mm-hmm.
are level 2 rookies,
Oh,
and then the
Jesus.
last 10 are level 3 rookies. And all the rookie levels, level 1, 2, and 3, have a different collation. Like it's 1 out of 36 packs for the level 1s, it's 1 out of 90 for the level 2s, and it's 1 out of 360 for the level 3s.
How
Keeping in mind that the last one is the redemption one.
So Upper Deck's solution to, as they keep calling it, provide a more interactive experience and to inspire set building is to make a set that's so freakishly hard to complete that it's going to inspire people to build sets. It's going to inspire people to open a lot of boxes. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know who's look, I mean, you probably like to gamble a little, but you wouldn't play a hand of poker if you knew there was no way you were going to win, right? Like if you knew absolutely there was no way you could win, you wouldn't play. This seems
People only
like
gamble because it's possible to win.
right. I don't think that to
1
me.
in a million is still a chance. I mean,
What?
it's true.
Still haven't been struck by that lightning. So
Yeah, well, you and I both.
right.
But I mean, here's the thing. Does it encourage set building? On the periphery, it does, but at what cost?
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
what
you're
set
encouraging someone. Go ahead.
you're encouraging somebody to what? Open a box, have a complete base set, and 3 of the rookie cards, a couple of autographs. I don't know if there's jersey cards or whatnot, and then a couple of these FX Spectrum cards, right? And then they open another box, and then they get another more or less complete base set, a couple of the rookie cards, and then this 1 or 2 cards that they need. I don't okay, I don't see how this can work. So please enlighten me, or how this can be a good thing, or how people would want to do this.
It's not. It's not going to be the typical set collector or
Okay.
set builder like we traditionally think of that's going to go after these. It's going to be those guys that are the hit chasers that are going to put this together, because there's no way, just said, there's no way without busting not just multiple boxes, but we're talking multiple cases of these things in order to come up with enough cards. So there's going to have to be trading. There's going to have to be third sales. You're going to see these things all over eBay, probably getting a pretty high premium, especially for the rookie cards.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see them on, the various sites being sold third party, and that's going to be the only way that people are going to put these together. Because whereas I understand the idea is to try to take the traditional, I don't even know if the traditional is the right word since this is a new thing, but take the e-pack purchaser,
Mm-hmm.
the guys that are just buying stuff online, and if they want to be involved, they're going to have to turn around and go to their local hobby shop, assuming they have one, or go to the online retailer where they can purchase this from in order to have a shot at these other cards. And I think that's the idea that they had. I'm interested to see how this plays out and works in real life.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how fast those first 50, 100, or those first 50 gold card sets disappear. Because apparently on the site, they're going to have a countdown clock
Mm-hmm.
that shows how many are left
Mm-hmm.
as they start to be redeemed. And with as, I mean, we've seen it with EPAC, you know, there's since they check out my cards and everybody cashes in the card, moves them over to their account to sell. We've seen how those accounts go from having zero to having hundreds of a card that you wouldn't have expected to see a dozen out of
Right.
regular boxes.
Right.
So I'm going to be interested to see how quickly these actually get redeemed. I won't be chasing them. I will tell you that right off the bat.
No, and you know what's funny is that like I tried building. I want to say I tried building SP Authentic, the 1011 SP Authentic set. And then I'm still working on it. I mean, it's just one of those sets where every now and then I'll pick up a couple of cards.
A master set?
A master set, yeah.
Okay.
Tried doing 1011 SP Authentic, 1011 Artifacts. 1011, actually, I really like 1011 Artifacts, getting off topic here. But 1011 SP Authentic, I think what it was when they had the National in 2011 in Chicago, and Upper Deck was doing their redemption program. One of the things that you could buy to get the redemption packs was SP Authentic. So I looked, and all the other things, they're like, well, you could buy this. And I'm like, well, I already have a complete set of this. And they're like, you can buy a box of these for whatever and get one redemption pack. And I'm like, no, that sounds really terrible. And then it's like, well, you could buy a box of SP Authentic and then get like 4 redemption packs. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty good. So I think I ended up buying a couple, maybe like 4 boxes of SP Authentic that year. And it was and I get it that you try to get people to buy stuff they wouldn't normally buy. And, for the most part, I've liked their redemption programs. So I don't mind buying some cards to get some other cards that I want. And that works out. But, like, I mean, and granted, I haven't been trying, like it hasn't been my main focus trying to finish that set. But I mean, it's just like, every now and then I'll come across a card for a quarter or a dollar, or I'll be buying from somebody on the Beckett store or on COMC, and I'll say, oh, cool, they have 2 cards that I need from 1011 SP Authentic, and I'll buy them, and that's just how I've been doing it. And I just like, and even this is a hard set because you had cards that were limited to like 2,000 copies, and there's just not a lot of them out there. So maybe in a way with the higher end
They
people opening these boxes, maybe that'll push a lot of these other cards that are limited to 2,000 copies, into the secondary market.
that was the Taylor Tyler set, right?
Yeah.
Taylor Hall and Tyler Sagan.
Yep.
Okay, well, some of those rookie cards were exchange cards too. I know the PK Subban was.
Was it?
You could, yeah, that was those were scratch or redemptions. You could only get that through redemption. I think the Cam Fowler one was too. So unless you can find people that have cashed in those redemptions, which I'm sure hundreds of them are still hiding in boxes on shelves places.
Well, and they're expired, and an Upper Deck uses those redemptions in other ways. Like the one time I was supposed to, I think it was like 2012 or 13 or 11 or something like that. I was supposed to get a Patrice Bergeron card that was autographed and had a jersey swatch, and they couldn't fulfill that request. So they sent me a 2007, 2008 Tuukka Rask rookie card from, I want to say it was from SP Authentic, that was autographed. And I was like,
Oh,
hey, that was a
that's all right.
trade. That was a trade up, man. I mean, that was awesome.
Right.
I mean, I was like ecstatic about that because when you go, okay, I'm getting a Patrice Bergeron game used jersey card with an autograph. We're like, all right, that's cool. He's a good player. He's a good guy. But then we were like, we're sorry we couldn't fulfill this. So here's this Tuukka Rask rookie card that at the time was already like 5 years old. It was like his good. It was worth more than his young gun, but probably not as much as his cup rookie. But it was like at the time, it was like a
Right.
solid $70-$80 card that obviously was a redemption that like never got cashed in. So they just, grabbed a Bruin, sent it to me, and I was happy with that. So I mean, those things do find their way out there. They don't just languish forever. They're Upper Deck's not in the business of warehousing cards.
Well, and the other good thing is at least it was one of the very few Bruins that I don't hate. So that's good.
Yeah, who can hate
But
him? I mean,
anyway, yeah,
why would you be mean to a hobbit? You can't.
exactly.
Exactly. Right.
I'm gonna have to look at your list and see because I think I might have some of that you need. I'll have to take a look.
Oh, SP Authentic?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I opened a few boxes that year too.
Hmm. Yeah, it was I mean it was an alright set. But another thing about this Upper Deck Bounty program, I find this funny. So like the backs of the cards that you get, the Spectrum FX cards, there's a scratch off area. And you got to scratch off the back.
Yeah, like a redemption code or something.
Yeah. So it's funny because they're like cards that you're supposed to collect, but then they also have like an area that you scratch off. And that reminds me of the terrible 80 81 top set where you had to scratch off there's like a black puck on the front. You had to scratch it off to reveal the player's name. And so the question is like, are those cards mint if you scratched off the name? No, probably not. So are the Spectrum FX cards, I mean, the idea is you don't scratch off the whatever you call it on the back, the silver foily stuff until you get all 99 cards. Then I guess you just sit down, scratch them all off, enter in all your codes, redeem for the 100th card and maybe the gold set.
I don't know. It's one of those decisions you got to make to scratch or not to scratch.
No,
I
I
mean, we're
mean,
back to 90, 96, 97, 98 when they made cards with the peel crap. Do you peel it off or do you not peel it off?
oh,
The remember like on Finest and on
oh, that's
Select and
it's
all of
easy to
that.
peel it off. It's a freaking clear
I
sticker.
don't think you peeled it off. Do
I
you
mean,
peel it off?
hell
I don't think
yeah.
that's a clear cut answer right there
No, I think
because
because what?
you submit that stuff to be graded and stuff like that. I don't know that it's going to get the same grade with it
If
peeled
you're
off as
sending a 96, 97, whatever,
that's a different
Donruss,
question.
yeah,
I know what you're getting at.
you need
That's a
to get
different
your head
question.
checked if you're sending in that stuff to get to um although I'll tell you this, if I do get one card graded, like I'd love I actually if I had money to burn, like literally money to burn, I would just send in the most obnoxious trading cards to get graded. I would I would take like a pro set Wayne Gretzky card and I'd like fold it in half so it was creased and then I'd fold it back the other way and then I'd fold it the other way so that it's like creased in four quadrants and then I would send that to Beckett for grading.
Oh, like a wallet card.
Yeah, I guess only this would be graded, so you couldn't really fit it in your wallet comfortably, right? I mean, it'd be more of like a purse card, right? Or maybe you punch a hole in the top of it and then like put it on a chain and wear it around your neck or something. Can we make that a thing?
Yeah, once it's slabbed away in that card coffin, then yeah, you can do pretty much anything with it.
Yeah, so
Becomes indestructible at that point.
you slab the card, but you get like a really horrible you get a worthless card slabbed. But not only a worthless card, it has to be a worthless card that's beat to shit and then get it slapped. Because that would be
There you go.
hilarious. Like, oh, check it out. It's a 91 Pro set Tom Chorsky card that's corner's been torn off and it's creased and some kid drew a mustache on him and I'm getting that graded and
Ooh,
it's got a BGS 1, but that's okay. It's because it's graded. So it was worth a penny, but now it's worth 2 pennies.
well, I think they'd be worth less. To be
Yeah.
honest with you. Yeah, probably.
It's funny because like I see a lot of people sell graded cards, and I just don't even look at them. But then I think like one time like I saw somebody like had a graded card, and I said to myself, "Oh, too bad that card is graded because I need it for my set." It was like a '70s O-Pee-Chee card, and I like walked away, not even thinking, "Dummy, you could take the card out of the," because it was pretty cheap. It was like I don't know if it was like $5 or something, but I probably would have paid 10 for it loose. So I don't know what I was thinking. I've never cracked one open, but
They're not. It's not easy. It's
no,
it's not easy.
but it
No.
can be done.
It can be done, but it's not easy, and you got to be careful that you don't mess up the card.
Right, right, exactly. Which is why I just usually walk away from him. But yeah, I think it'd be
Yeah.
funny, or like those pro set music cards that I sent to your wife. There's like some British pop stars that I never even heard of, and I'm just like, oh, it'd be fun to send this in to get graded because nobody knows who the hell this is. I don't even know who the hell it is, but it would just be funny, like some random like MC Hammer, but like the MC Hammer of England that never made it big outside of England or something, and then get that. Actually, I'd get the Vanilla Ice card graded from the Pro Set music cards.
The MC Hammer of England. I wonder who that is.
I don't know. Maybe it's MC Hamer, the way they say it. I'm not sure. Um, or they
I
probably
think
call them Master of Ceremonies Hammer, because they're more formal.
there you go.
Yeah,
That's probably it.
So that's what I would do. I would like totally just troll like the grading companies with just like terrible cards in like horrible condition. Um, just cause it'd be funny as hell.
Again, this is unlimited money supply, obviously.
Yeah, I think I would do that before I would be doing this Upper Deck Bounty program where I'm gonna just buy hundreds of boxes so that I could get the 100th card, which is Austin Matthews. Oh my god! And then I could get a gold set, which is just like the set that I spent $10,000 putting together, but the cards are gold. Real gold? No, just gold foil.
You know what? They didn't say that. They could be real gold.
No, because we know that they're putting all their real gold in their coins, in their Grandeur coins.
Okay.
So there you go.
Forgot about those.
Yeah, wow, you forget quickly.
Yeah, things that don't interest me, I don't think about.
Coin collecting?
Yeah, I'm not a coin
You
collector.
don't want a silver
I'm a
cross
coin spender.
spend some coin?
I'm a coin spender, but that's a different story.
Yeah. So
Yeah, would I like a Crosby one? I would love one. You got one to give to me?
no. And here's the problem is that at $100 a crack and with I was it 25 or 35 I forgot how many coins were in the set, but it's just like so you might get the Crosby or you might get like the slightly harder to get one but of like John Tavares, right? And then it's like, well, do we get, like, I mean, you can actually trade those coins on ePack, which is kind of neat. You can buy them on ePack, which is kind of neat, and then you could trade them on ePack, and that's kind of clever because then you don't have to be shipping them all over the place. They're, you know what I mean? You could trade that way, and I think that's kind of a nice idea.
Yeah, but who's that marketed to? I mean, really, is that marketed to a collector or is it marketed to a card collector?
They said
Because a
that they
card
were
collector is not
marketing.
going to collect coins,
They
and a
said they
coin
were
collector is not going to collect cards.
Well, Upper Deck said that they were marketing it to coin collectors, but they were trying to also make it appeal to card collectors because it would be a unique item of your favorite player. Um, of
To me, this seems like the info on that's advertising these gold minted or silver minted vintage whatever, and they're really like not worth anything. And they say, call now in 1999 and get you one. Act
Yeah,
now and we'll send you
yeah,
two for 1999. These are limited print and they come with certificate of authenticity and yada yada yada. And it's like a week later they're shopping these off on QVC because somebody had the bright idea to sell these weird gold coins. That's what I take these for. Or on the flip side, it's a rehash of, dare I say, Pinnacle Mint
Me and
from
James Howard did a great
from
podcast
back
about
in the
that a
late '90s.
few years or a few months ago. Okay, so two things. So these upper deck coins are actual currency in the Cook Islands, which I think is like off of Australia or New Zealand or something like that, whatever, right? Which means nothing to you and me.
Actual currency.
Actual currency in one country. So they which means because coin collectors, hardcore coin collectors will not collect coins unless they are actual currency in a country. Otherwise, they're just medallions and they don't care about it. Then it's just a keepsake. a real coin, because coin insinuates that it has monetary value to be spent, not just value like, oh, it's a collector's item like a baseball card or whatever. Um, the other thing is that Pinnacle Mint, those are just basically like medallions. Like, you bought them, and there was a card with the hole. You put the coin in the hole, and then there you go. You've done it. You've done a great job. You put that round coin in the round hole, right? Um, and by the way, the collation in Pinnacle Mint is terrible. I Jim Howard got a box, and he bought me a box as like a surprise gift, and I opened it, and like the collation of the coins was terrible. I just kept getting like Steve Eiserman, Martin Broder, Steve Eiserman, Martin Broder. I probably got like 5 of each of them, right? Like the cards, the collation was good, but like the actual coins was just. So, what was funny was when I talked to Upper Deck, I didn't even bring up Pinnacle Mint because it really wasn't meant to be the same thing. I mean, it wasn't a $3 pack of coins. It was like $100, potentially a silver or gold coin, silver or gold coin.
Real silver, real gold. Not fake silver, fake bronze, fake gold,
Correct.
like the Pinnacle Mint were. And I never could tell the difference between the gold and the bronze.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't either, but well, no, the gold I think were like impossible to find. I don't
Oh,
quite know what the deal is
well,
with
then I couldn't
those.
tell the difference because I never saw the difference.
Right.
Then that's different.
Right. Yeah. So, but I'll tell you this though, if I was going to spend some money on hockey coins, I would love to get a set of those old Schrift coins from the 60s. You know what I'm talking about? They were like,
Yes,
you know what they were like? Remember the 1989 Topps baseball coins?
yes,
They were like
I do.
those, but from the 60s, and they did like a bunch of the players. And I remember back in the 90s, my aunt had a satellite dish, and I used to just catch the most random stuff. And I'd catch hockey games. I'd catch the feeds of the games. So they didn't have the commercials in them. They were just going from the rink to the studio, and then from the studio, then they'd have the commercials be put in, and and they'd be broadcast. Right, these were the feeds, so they were usually like 10 or 15 seconds ahead or whatever. And during commercials, you'd hear like the color commentator and like the play-by-play guy BSing, swearing, sometimes making fun of some of the players. Um, and but one
Kind of
of
like the center ice broadcasts are now.
Well, yeah, but no, because you get commercials in those.
I don't know some of them that I've been watching.
So anyway, there used to be this network. I don't know if they're still around, but they were called Shop at Home, and there were these two Southern guys, and they would auction these cards on live TV. It was satellite TV, and they'd go, "What you want to give? What you want to pay? We got here a Gretzky rookie. This is a near mint to mint 1979 80 tops Wayne Gretzky. Um, Opening bid is $50. What you want to give? What you want to pay?" And then there'd be like a long pause, and it'd be like, "Oh, we have a caller. Okay, okay, we got 25." And it would just and as a kid, I would watch this, and they almost never did hockey. Um, Once in a while, they'd have some hockey, and they had a set of hockey coins, and my aunt bid on the set of coins, and nobody was bidding against her. Like it got to $80, and then it stopped, and then he goes, "Okay, $80 going once, going twice." Folks, this is a really great set of hockey coins from the 60s. I mean, it's got a Beckett value of at least, $300. And then, like, my aunt and I just both face palm, like, you son of a. Right? And then it's like, we have a caller. And it's like, okay, we got $100. So my aunt's, because she's still on the phone, so she's like, 110. And it goes, she's bidding back and forth. Then she kind of thought about it, and then I think she bid up to 300 or 500, and then after that, or maybe 300, and then she stopped because it was just like it got to the point where like this would have been really cool to have, because she watched these players growing up when she was a little girl. So she knew these players in the set. And for me, it would have been cool, like, for it to be in the family because I would have looked at it. But we were so mad that that guy just did that because, of course, they get a commission, right? I mean, the Shop at Home network. But,
Yeah.
or not Shop at Home. Was it called Shop at Home? Yeah, I think it was Shop at Home. And so I would love to get my hands on some of those old hockey coins because those were just cool. And a lot of times you had coins of guys who didn't get cards, which also made it cool. Like Al Arbor, he had. So there were some years where he didn't have a card, but he had like either a coin or he might have had like some weird offbeat card or something like that. Um, but yeah, that's what. If
Yeah.
I was going to spend hundreds of dollars on hockey coins, I'm gonna go vintage. That's just me though. And they're not real coins. They're not currency. You
It
can't like
wasn't.
can't go to Tim Hortons and buy donuts with it. But but they do have Tim Horton on them, so that says something.
There you go. It wasn't Don West that hosted that show, was it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I should really
Those
look.
were always fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, wait. No, that was the guy who would just yell.
Don West. Oh yeah, and like everything was great and awesome. It was the best card
Jordans!
ever, and
We have
you were
Jordans! We have
yeah
so many Michael Jordan cards, so I'm just gonna yell really loud and hope that we sell them. I mean, here we have a whole stack of these classic baseball cards with Michael Jordan with the logo airbrushed off of the jersey, and he's batting.
yeah. Everybody's gonna retire off this King Junior rookie. So
Yeah,
yeah, that
wow.
was I remember.
Yeah, those are some good times. Unfortunately, those good times will never come back until unless the in order for the good times to come back for the trading card market, and this could be a discussion for another day. They need to press a reset button. Like everything just needs to go back to ground zero. And what I mean by that is the fees that the shows charge is a lot of money because they still have this mentality that like it is the 90s and it's not. So if you have a show where the buy-in's $100 a table, then only the people who sell wax can really make that up or who deal with high-end singles. I mean, people make money doing this. I'm not saying that they can't, but it's so much harder. I mean, if you, like the Sun Times show that we go to, if that's a $400 for a table, uh you got to sell a lot of cards to
Right.
just to make back your table. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing is that the card companies need to scale back what they're charging for the products. But the problem is that the leagues, to them it's a cash cow. So they're what they want is so much more money than what they were getting 25 years ago that that just that inflates the cost of cards. Because if a pack of cards was 50 cents in 1989 and adjusting for inflation and everything, if you compare a pack of cards to a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk or whatever, a pack of cards in 1989 is 50 cents. In today's dollars, they should be a dollar. They should have doubled in price. Instead, they're $3 for a pack of cards, which would have been about the same as a pack of cards being 5.50 back in 1989. Now, in 89, would your mother have bought you a pack of cards for $5.50?
In '89, my mother wouldn't even buy me a pack of cards for whatever they cost then.
Right, and they were
So
50 cents.
no, the answer is no. She would not.
Right, exactly. Because in 1989, with $5, you could buy a loaf of bread, a gallon of milk, and a carton of eggs, and have money left over.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like somebody needs to press a reset button and say, "Hey, guess what? People aren't buying these cards anymore. Let's make them cheap." But in order to do that, NHL, you're going to have to like reduce the guarantee that you get because this is killing us. Because now we have to sell these cards for $100 a box instead of $20 a box. So then retail has to sell them for $150 or $200 a box instead of $30 a box. And then that's just making it spiral out of control. So that's what I mean by they need to hit a reset button.
That brings up the whole different conversation of at what point does then the product become watered down, and then the heavy hitters in the market that keep the hobby
Mm-hmm.
afloat,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, disappear because there's no more hit products that they're going to be able to make their money out of. But that's a conversation we could have a whole like talk for hours about.
Hey, let's end with some good news. So, Goon
Sure.
2 Last of the Enforcers, or they're calling it Goon Last of the Enforcers, but it's Goon 2. It's the follow up to the movie Goon that came out a few years ago, starring Dude, Where's My Car guy? What's his name?
Sean William Scott.
Yep, that's it. Dude, Where's My Car? And so, um, it finally has a release date in the United States, which is September 1st, which it came out in March. It's coming out 6 months later. March in Canada, because it always comes out in Canada first, because it's a hockey movie. So it's a small. It's like an indie film, so it's not going to have like the same release as like a bigger picture. But even still, it's a small Canadian film. It's going to get some play in Canada because of hockey. It's going to be. It was when Goon came to Chicago, it played in one theater for 1 week, and then it was gone. My girlfriend was like, "Oh, we should see this," and I said, "Yeah, we should see this." And like, I just thought, well, it'd be around for a couple of weeks, right? And the movie lasts. It was at the Music Box Theater for 1 week, and then it was gone. So I'm not going to make that mistake this time. But did you see the first Goon?
I did,
Did you like it?
and I thought it was a pretty funny movie.
Pretty funny movie. Yeah,
It was a pretty funny movie.
yeah, I'm excited about this next one. Just because I like the first one so much. Actually, I did manage to track down the book that the first movie is loosely based on. It's actually the book's long out of print and it actually sells for a lot of money. I found a copy for $30 at a used bookstore, and I thought $30. Then I opened up my phone. I went to Amazon, and the cheapest it was at Amazon was like $45. And I said, and then I like just opened a random page and I started reading, and I'm like, oh, this is good. So then I bought the book, and when I read it, I like hung on every page. I I enjoyed that book because literally it's average Joe who he's trained as a boxer. He didn't start learning to skate till he was 18 or 19. Like this is in the book now. So basically the movie just bases like the first couple of chapters, like really when he played in the ECHL for a season. That's what the Goon movie is loosely based on. But the character, or sorry, the actual player Doug Smith, he and his buddies, they would rent the ice at like midnight to play pickup hockey, and then when they got tired they would just go to center ice and then they would just hockey fight. Like they would hockey fight in the gym. Sometimes they would just like go to the gym and like their boxing gym, and they would like put on hockey gear and then they would just like grab each other and fight, like like they were pretending, but they wanted to fight on the ice, so they'd rent the ice, they'd play, and then like at like whatever, when they were winding down, they're like, all right, screw it, let's just fight at center ice. So they would take turns like fighting and learning how to fight like enforcers did. And so it was a cool book because then he ended up getting a tryout, because he played in this uh, like a summer league that attracted a lot of like minor pro players, collegiate players, and like one or two, like a few NHLers that like lived in town would play in it just to kind of keep in shape over the summer. And somehow he ended up on one of the teams, so he would just go around and hit everybody and try to fight everybody. And like a scout for an ECHL team noticed him and was just like, "Hey, how'd you like to try out for our team? We could use an enforcer." And that's how he got started in it. And then every now and then he would just be a goon for hire where like the Phoenix Roadrunners of the IHL would say, "Hey, our tough guy's suspended. We'll fly you in for the weekend. We'll pay you this much." And he would just how awesome that was. Like so it was really a great book. And the movie didn't really, I mean, it was inspired by that. And I'm not saying the movie was bad because I saw the movie first, and I could see how the book would have been more of like a biography and not like a comedy, sports comedy so much. Um, but yeah, I'm psyched about this next one. I can't wait to see it. I will make sure I don't miss it this time.
Yeah, like I said, I thought the first one was pretty funny. I can't remember the guy's name. I think they called him the boss. He was the goalie.
Oh, okay, no.
Like
So
Liev Schreiber played his character.
he played Ross the Boss Ray, and
Yeah,
he was yeah, Liev
was he the
Schreiber.
goalie?
No. The goalie was I forget the goalie's name, but uh the goalie was a different
It's,
character, but he was the one who was like
I was
on
gonna
the
say it's been a
pain
long time
meds.
since I saw it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah. So and it's funny because I watched the trailer for Goon 2 because I was so excited about it. And now I'm like, oh man, I wish I didn't watch the trailer because I feel like I already know too much about it. Like everybody's like, oh, the new Star Wars trailer, and like, you know what? I don't think no, I didn't even watch it because I'm just like, I don't care. I'm like, I'm just gonna go see Star Wars when it comes out. Why would I watch the trailer and I'd be like, ooh, why are the stormtroopers red in this one, right? Like, I'll just find out when the movie comes out. But with Goon 2, I was so excited.
I watched the trailer and I have no idea.
Of what?
Just so you know,
Star
I
Wars?
watched the trailer for Star Wars and I have no clue what the movie's even going to be about.
The Last
So there you
Jedi.
go.
So
Well, that's in the title.
it is, yeah. But so uh, I, I watched the trailer, and like so, um, Glatt ends up needing some training, and guess who trains him?
The boss.
Yeah, right, exactly, and that's exactly what you want to see in the sequel. You want to see that bad guy that you love so much become a good guy, right? Like Terminator 2, right? We loved Arnold as the bad Terminator, but you gotta admit Terminator 2 was pretty awesome because he was still that badass Terminator, but now he was fighting for the force of good, so that was exciting, right?
Yes.
Right. So in this one, Ross, the boss Ray, is going to train Doug, who needs to make a comeback for whatever reason. I don't know, plot contrivance, whatever. But that's awesome because he was a cool bad guy as a hockey enforcer. I mean, he wasn't like you think of like, and I love the movie Youngblood, but you don't ever really like the character of Carl Racky. He's not made to be a character that you like. He's made to be that obstacle that Youngblood has to fight, you know, to beat in a fight and kind of avenge what happened to his teammate and stuff like that. He's doesn't have any qualities that redeem him as a character. Whereas with Goon, uh, Ross Ray was like, hey, he's awesome. He's like the toughest guy in the league. And even though he does some things that are kind of shitty, it's still kind of within the confines of his job, right? Like he hits Xavier Laflamme and he gets concussed, and maybe it wasn't a clean hit, but it
Right.
was still within the confines of the game. You know what I mean? It's not like he beat up the goalie or something like that.
Right.
So I think that's cool because it's going to be those two, and they're going to be. I mean, they're not teaming up on the ice. It's not like going to be another Bash Brothers like from Mighty Ducks, but um, yeah, I'm excited about that one plot point. But like at the same time, I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't know that because that would have been so cool in a movie. Like, oh no way, this guy's in it, awesome, right? Like, oh no way, he's gonna help Doug. That's awesome, right? Like I didn't get that. So after that, I'm just staying off of Wikipedia, not watching any more trailers. Just gonna wait until September 1 when Goon 2 comes out. I'll be like the only one in the theater. I don't know what jersey I'm gonna wear. I gotta pick out something obscure. Maybe my sudden death hockey jersey.
Do you have a Halifax Highlanders jersey?
I don't want to pay full price for one of those. Like, it still hasn't grown on me yet. Oh, I got it. I got a Thunder Bay Bombers jersey. That's what I'll wear. Boom.
There you go. Close enough.
Actually signed by the man who played Carl Racky. Funny that I said his character was not a character that's necessarily likable, but the actor who played him, awesome guy.
Excellent.
Excellent.
See, you
So,
always have good stories. I don't have those good stories.
oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I was lucky enough to interview him for my hockey news article about Youngblood, and It was actually kind of funny. I'll talk about this a little bit. So you saw Youngblood, right?
Long time ago.
Long time ago, but you know who the bad guy is, right? Like you know what I'm talking about,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
Steve Thomas was in that movie. He was one of the Steve Thomas and Peter Zezel both played Hamilton Mustang players that didn't have any speaking lines. And so Thomas said that he was on the set of Youngblood, you know, he's at one of the rinks, and he sees Racky, or he sees George Finn, who plays Carl Racky, and he's just like, you know, we fought in junior hockey. We had a fight. He's like, and now I'm looking at him, and he's got this full beard, and I'm just like, oh man, this guy's a scary dude. How did I find the courage to fight him in a junior hockey game? Although Thomas was a bit of a scrapper, you know, in the NHL. Actually, one of my favorite Steve Thomas fights is when he beats the shit out of Sean Avery. It's on YouTube. It's awesome. And I'll tell you why it's awesome. Because Avery was like a rookie with the Red Wings, and he probably thought, I'm going to mess up this old guy, because Thomas was probably like, it was over 30. He was probably closer to 35. He was at the end of his career. It was like one, so he had to be mid to late 30s, right? And I want to say that
Yeah.
like Avery probably thought, I'm going to beat up this old guy, right? Well, Thomas beat him up in the fight. He was in his second stint with the Blackhawks. It was a Blackhawks Red Wings game, and like Avery gets turned around and it almost looks like he's trying to get away. And Thomas like grabs him and keeps hitting him. And it almost reminds me of like, you remember like in the cartoons when like the characters would fight, but you wouldn't see the fight, you would just see like a giant dust cloud with like fists
Yes.
and feet flying. And then like the one character would try to tiptoe out of the cloud, and then you'd see like the hand grab and drag them back into the cloud for more of an ass beating. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
That was the Steve Thomas versus Sean Avery fight, where Avery was the guy trying to like get out of the dust cloud, but he'd get dragged back into it. Man, it was so lopsided. It was
Nice.
funny. But
Nice.
so Thomas talked about fighting George Finn in junior hockey, and then he's like watching Youngblood, and he's like, you know, he's like playing the bad guy, and he's like, wow, I can't believe I actually stood up to that guy because he's pretty tough. But then George Finn told me, and I wasn't able to fit this into my article, but he said he remembers that fight with Steve Thomas, and he says what caught him off guard about that was that like in the middle of the fight, Thomas changed hands. He was hitting him with one hand, and then he changed it up and he started hitting him with the other hand, and that threw him off guard because most guys will grab with one hand, punch with the other hand, and Thomas changed it up. So he's just like, yeah, I remember that fight. That was a good fight. He caught me off guard. It was, you know, and that was, and Finn's job was to be an enforcer in junior hockey. I mean, that was his thing.
See, like I said, you have interesting stories that I'm just fascinated by these.
I just talked to
They're
a lot
always
of.
entertaining.
I try. I just talk to a lot of people. That was one good story. Another good story, and this is actually quoted like in the hockey news. And again, it was kind of funny because like Steve Thomas was like, "Well, I don't want to get Rob Lowe in trouble or angry at me, but," and then once he said that, I said, "Oh God, I have to put whatever he's gonna say. I have to put this in my article." Not only did I put it in my article, but like Hockey News like pulled that quote and like made it big on the page. You know when they do that, they do like a pull quote. So it was like when, you know, so all these old Toronto Marlies, or not old, they were young, but they were the Toronto Marlies. So many of the Toronto Marlies got cast to be either Hamilton Mustangs or Thunder Bay Bombers. And actually, the only other team you see in there is the Toronto Marlies, which was the only real life team used in that movie, like the Marlies themselves. But maybe not all Marley players playing the Marlies. But anyway, so they all know each other. They're hanging out in the locker room. They're getting dressed, right? And then there's Rob Lowe, and the wardrobe people are putting on his hockey gear for him. And so Thomas and Zezel, and they all just look at each other and they're just like, "Oh my God, are you serious? You got to be kidding me! This guy can't even tie his skates." You know, because they're all like
I
these
believe it.
hotshot junior, major junior players. I mean, Thomas actually left the filming of Youngblood halfway through because he had to go to Maple Leafs training camp. So, like, if you watch that movie, you'll see him in like the earlier scenes, but you won't see him in like any of the later scenes because because I asked him like, oh, were you there for the big fight at the end? He's like, no, I had to report to training camp by then, so I wasn't able to be in the closing parts of the movie, but I was in the opening parts of the movie. So the earlier scenes. So I thought that was also cool. I remember the director telling me that they used to do pickup games when you'd have they'd have a lunch break, right, for an hour, but everybody wanted to play hockey, so they would do pickup games. The guys who played the players, the guys who played the referees, the stunt doubles, because Patrick Swayze's stunt double was Donnie Biggs, and he was he played for the Flyers for a few games. He played a lot in the minors. Actually, a really big player with the Rochester Americans, but they'd play and so what Peter Markle told me was that a lot of the juniors were complaining about Eric Nestorenko because he'd been out of the NHL for about 14 years at that point, but he played for 20 years. So he was like in his 50s. He played Youngblood's dad. And they're like, oh, yeah. And they're like, oh, because he was hacking and slashing and just giving him a hard time, right? Because, he's the old man, but he played in the NHL for 20
Yeah,
years. And then you got all these,
that's the game back then.
yeah, and then you got all these 19-year-olds who are like on their way up, and they're probably like thinking, "Oh my God, it's so awesome to play against Eric Nestorenko." But then the director said, "But yeah, the guys are kind of complaining, like, oh, he's 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 a little too competitive for these pickup games." And then the wardrobe and makeup people would get mad because then the players would be all sweaty after the lunch break, and then they'd have to fix their makeup again because then they're going to do the scene in the locker room where they're supposed to look all nice and you see their hair and stuff, and it you know they would they didn't want you to look like if you were drenched in sweat if they were going to film a scene of you from before the game starts, right?
So since Rob Lowe couldn't even tie his own skates, I take it he didn't participate in these pickup games.
um he did, and the reason why I know that, this is just gonna I'm gonna tell you about this, and you're gonna say, "Oh my God, Sal, we know too much about you." In Japan, for movies, they'll sell a program. Like you ever go to a rock concert and they have a program, or you go to a hockey game and you get a program, right? I remember when I went to see Def
Hmm.
Leppard in '92 for their Adrenalize tour. They had a program. They had a show program that I bought because it was the first concert I ever went to. And so in Japan, they will sell movie programs, like a program that you buy in the lobby at the theater. And they made one for Youngblood. And of course, I bought it. And it had a lot of pictures. It had some of the pictures that you see in the press kits and on the back of the VHS box cover, but then it had a few shots that were just random, and I don't know what they were from. And there's a shot of Lowe, and it looks like, I believe it's Nestorenko, and it looks like they're playing against each other, and it's not from the scene where the two of them are on the ice learning, teaching the father teaching the son how to fight. So it was a picture from one of the pickup games, and I never would have known that. Like, oh, that's weird. Why is Dean and Blaine playing against each other? And it's because it's from one of these pickup games that they would throw.
So who was a bigger star at the time, Rob Lowe or Patrick Swayze
They
when
were
that came out,
they were both up and coming. They were
or
both.
Keanu Reeves? Because he was in that too,
That
wasn't
was
he?
a second film role. Yeah. Um. I Yeah. I don't know because I mean, the three of them were huge by 1990. So by in
Right.
'84, or sorry, '86, they were filming in '85. Uh, they would have been all on the way up. The thing was that it was actually the director told me that a lot of the young stars, the up and coming stars, they wanted to be in this movie. Like they saw it as a good, even though it was a relatively low budget, couple million, like $4 million film. Um, and it was a sports drama, but it was it was seen as desirable. Like a lot of the up and coming actors auditioned for parts. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was Swayze before Dirty Dancing, before Ghost, um, and
Right.
Rob Lowe before, I don't know what else he's done. It's not exactly.
Apparently, a lot of not safe for work videos. I heard.
Oh, well, I think on that we should end it here because I could just keep BSing about
You are the world's foremost authority about Youngblood.
oh, I will.
I'm convinced of that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that I'm the foremost authority on something, and we all don't get to pick what we want to be known for. But if I'm known for as that guy who, yeah, it's funny. Like when I was like 15, I started like writing a sequel to that movie, like in a notebook. Like I love that movie so much. I was just like, there needs to be another one, and then I thought about it, and I'm like there needs to be another one, and they need to do it now because those three actors are really popular, and it would be awesome to make like a sequel to Youngblood with Keanu and Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze at like the height of 1990. They were huge, right? And that was probably the first time I saw the movie in its entirety when it was on cable because I remember catching bits and pieces of it, like watching like I used to watch Siskel and Ebert, and they talked about it on their show, and I remember watching clips from it there. And that was even before I knew what hockey was. I was just like, oh, this movie's about hockey, and that guy looks scary, and that guy looks wimpy, and I guess they fight, right? And that's what hockey's all about because I didn't know any better. But yeah, I would have liked, I would have written a sequel, and it would have been where um, they're in the NHL, and now Lowe's character of Dean Youngblood would have been a he would have been a star, and his former teammate Derek Sutton, played by Patrick Swayze, would be on another team, and he'd actually have resentment against him because Swayze wanted to go first overall in the draft, make $1 million, whatever, right? But he gets injured from that hit by Carl Racky. He's got the steel plate in his head. His career's over, or so we thought. Meanwhile, Dean would go on to play one more year with the Mustangs, become the team's best player, get that, sweet, get drafted high in the first round, get a good salary, and then now he'd have to face off against Derek, who and this is where he'd kind of learn like, well, we were friends when we were teammates, but now we're on opposite sides, and this is a job. And like, maybe we're not friends anymore. And so Derek would actually kind of not be a villain, but and it's a drama. So of course, they'd have to become friends again, right? Because they were friends in the first movie. So that's how I would have played that out. I would have had Racky in there too because you have to have a bad guy, and then I'd have Keanu in there because in 1990 Keanu was he was excellent.
Wow, you just described the entire plot line to Goon 2.
Really? No.
No, I'm just kidding.
I just spoiled the movie for myself. So, any final words before we cut it off?
Go Pens.
Go Pens. All right. Thanks, everyone.